girlfriend Robin is in the studio with me. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about it's the new year. And so some of you have gotten into relationships from New Year's Day, met some brothers and kind of hooked up with them because it's the new year. And so we want to talk about the do's and don'ts of relationships and just kind of share some of our stories with you and some things that have happened. But anyway, Robin, girlfriend, you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Listen, Robin's parents have been married for 53 plus years, and so we're talking about one of those relationships that we'd love to have. We're talking about commitment. And Robin, I was just saying earlier, what do you think that commitment is? I mean, what do you think held your parents together for 53 years?
They were friends, and they had a special friendship, and that bonded them together.
You know what? I look at you. Well, Dr. Kathy, she and James have been together forever and ever, and they are friends. I look at my other girlfriends that are married, and they are. I guess that is what it is. They're friends. They like each other as people, and then they love each other as a couple. And it is just awesome to me when I see that. I know we still see it, but not as much as we used to see it years ago.
I agree.
So what do you think?
Nowadays, I believe that the reason for it is because a lot of the men that are growing up in this generation are broken.
Do you think, and when you say broken, do you think that some of them have had some things to happen to them? I mean, aside from fathers being out the home. I was in a church one Sunday, and I'm sitting there, and I'm telling you, it was thousands, at least 1,000 people there or more. And I heard the pastor say, you know, when I was going to the bathroom, and he said when he went to the bathroom, there was a man in the bathroom. He said, and oh my goodness, he said he was 7, and he said when he finished, you know, after he molested him and everything, he said and turned him loose. But I was sitting there and I heard this conversation, but it was almost like have you ever been somewhere and you hear something, but it's like you're the only one that hears this? No one else hears this but you? Have you ever been in that situation?
Yes, I believe I have.
Yeah, it happens to me more often than I'd care to mention. But anyway, when he said this, my heart was like, oh, wow. But no one in the whole church seemed to hear it. But my point is that we're talking about a pastor who had been molested, and he was just, I mean, for that split second, you know, I looked at him and I thought, wow, no wonder he's not married. No wonder his attitude, you know, with women is, I mean, he seems to be a nice enough guy, but it just seemed that, you know, marriage was just not in the picture for him. And, you know, he wanted to just keep these ongoing relationships, even as a bishop and being in a church, you know what I'm saying, and all those things that are supposed to come with being a bishop, one wife and one, you know, that kind of thing. Even with his title, he was not willing to, to get married.
Well, you know, sometimes when your trust is broken as a child, it's confusing. As an adult, you don't know who you are. Your identity is taken. So some people choose to be alone because they can't let go of that demon that took something away from them.
Yeah.
Your innocence taken. I mean, how do you move forward unless you know the power of God and prayer? A lot of men don't go to church like they used to. A lot of them don't believe in a higher power like they used to. And I think that is affecting the way they treat women and themselves.
Well, you do think you do feel like there is I mean, we talk about all the things that are going on in the schools and in the outside of the schools, as far as when you're talking about LBGT, but those men that we're talking about that have been in those situations and that are broken for whatever reason, whether it was physical abuse, mental abuse, or sexual abuse, those are the broken men that we encounter. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Now, and we have no way, well, I don't know, I shouldn't say we have no way of knowing, but I can remember, interacting with a guy and finding out later on that there was just a whole lot to him that I didn't have a clue about. But the guy was nice enough, I mean, gentle, nice guy, but it was just a hidden agenda. And I often, reach back and think of all the different little warning signs that I got that I just chose to ignore. And I think that with us as women, I think we always want to fix it. We want to straighten it out, even though it's not what it should be, it's like, okay, we'll just say, well, we can fix that.
I agree. I thought I could save every man that came in my life. And I tried. I'd fix them up. I'd help them. I'd do whatever I could. But when a man is broken, you can't fix a broken man. He has to fix himself.
I think, while we're talking, I think that probably one of the things that we don't do anymore and that we should, and I know it probably sounds really way out, but I think even for me, because I always said if I married again, they would have to meet all my friends and my family, and then we would make a decision on whether he could come into our family. But even alongside of that, I am even of the opinion that an FBI, I mean, and I know that sounds crazy, but I would have to have, number one, a medical, you'd have to give me your medical records, and then alongside with your medical records, I would have to do a credit check, and then alongside of the credit check, I would want to do also an FBI background, check. And I know that sounds really far-fetched, but I think that at my age and at this time that I'd want to be armed with as much information on a person that I wanted to line my life up with. You know what I'm saying? We line our life up with these guys, and they don't have, we have children by them, and then the children have whatever that hidden agenda is, they have that, and so it's, you can compile, when you see little Johnny out there acting a fool, it's like, where did he get that from? But we haven't done enough research on the men that we invite into our life. And you know what, I'm saying that we don't get enough information. We just kind of go with our emotions, and we go with how we feel, and it's just, it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. We're gonna go to another station break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about, the importance of having enough information when you go out and you solicit for a mate, or you go out and you interact with others, okay? Be back in a second. Gonna take a station break.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hi, I'm back. I'm glad you're still here and you went and got everything you needed. Listen, I have girlfriend Robin on the phone. We're going to talk about children of broken marriages. Is that what we're talking about, Robin?
Yes, I think that's important.
Yes, and let's do share. I am so happy, again, that you're on and that you're sharing, and we get a chance to talk, because our viewers, it's a lot going on out there, and sometimes, It could be just the time and place that somebody is sitting down looking at Rick the Critic and hear just what they need. So I'm honored to have you on the show. Tell me, okay, so now when we talk about broken marriages and I mean children from broken marriages, I mean, what do you have to say about that? I have something to say, but I want to hear what you have to say. I'm a product of that.
Well, as far as for me, I'm a product of that as well. I've not only had broken marriages, but I've also had broken men. And the kids are affected in a lot of ways because what they see in the household, it can affect them positive or negative. I was fortunate enough that I had 3 children, and 2 of the 3 turned out great. They took the road, the 2 took a road to success, college, graduated, degrees, and then 1, he didn't deal with the broken marriage well, and he took a road that landed him in prison. So it affected him because he needed his father. My daughters were strong enough to where they found themselves, and they didn't let it affect them as bad as my son did. It affected my son far more than it affected my daughter.
Now, and that's interesting because again, where it goes back to, you know, us just naturally having to be the strong ones. So they took the position that they needed to be strong and to focus on what they had to do and just go straight ahead.
Right, and they chose totally different men.
Now, did they choose men like their father or more men like your father?
Like my father.
Wow. Wow. That's
what I.
That's incredible, huh? Wow. So, Robin, did you meet their mates before they picked them, or how did that work?
Did I meet their? Yes, I did. Actually, both of my daughters, my oldest daughter, who's now 35, she waited till she graduated college, got her master's, and is working toward her doctorate, and she chose a man. She waited to have children. She did everything totally opposite of me, which I'm so proud of. And my second daughter came home one day from school and told me, "Mom, I met my husband." And Lord, I laughed and told her, "You're going to meet 10 or 20 men before you get married." At 19, she eloped, and they've been married for 13 years, and they have 3 beautiful children, and they're a power couple.
Wow. And she knew right away. She met her husband.
She spoke it into existence. She did.
Wow. Wow. That is awesome. And now your son, you're visiting. I mean, what do you, when you go to visit or when you write or whatever, what do you say to him? I mean, do you know now what caused him to go the way he went?
Well, he saw abuse and he felt neglect from his father because after we finally divorced, he got a new family and my son was thrown to the side, and it affected him. I didn't know it affected him as much, but the things that he saw me and his father go through, and then the fact that once he divorced me, he divorced my son, it affected him far more than I ever imagined. And so he took that negative road, and he was, you know, a cheater, an abuser. He did all the things his father did.
Isn't that something how they can just leave the family and go and get a new family, and it's just like you never existed?
Yes,
see, for me, what I often think about with me is the person that they married. What kind of person is that? How do you accept a man into your life and he had a family that existed before you and you don't acknowledge that family at all? How do you do that? How do you just say, well, okay, honey, we're going to live this wonderful life and those people don't exist anymore? How do you do that?
I don't understand it.
How do you not know that what he did to her, he will do to you?
Exactly.
What makes you think? Yeah, what makes you think that you're any different from her. And why would you even involve yourself with anybody that does not take care of their children?
Exactly.
I mean, if you get a man that does not take care of his children, more than likely he don't have no respect for his mama. He don't have, you know what I'm saying? And he clearly, what he brought into this world, he has not enough love to even take care of them. I mean, forget about spending all the time, because you need to spend some time with them, and you cannot spend your 24/7 time with them like you were when you were with the wife. But you're telling me that that child no longer is important? The child whose blood runs through your veins, they are no longer important to you? How does that happen?
Well, you know, you see that most common with men, because mothers, we're nurturers, and we try to stick by our kids no matter what. But fathers seem like they could just go on and move on to the next one and act like you were just yesterday's garbage, and it's sad.
You know what I think a lot of that, this is just my personal opinion, and it may not have anything to do with anything. You know what I think that stems from? I think that stems from slavery. I think that stems from when they came into, and I know this probably sounds far-fetched to most people, but I think that because of the separation, because the slave master could come in and say, okay, we taking you away, you don't have no family. Not only that, the slave master could come in and rape the man, rape the woman, let the woman feel like, hey, there is no protection, he can't protect you, he can't do nothing for you, he's been stripped of everything, so it's like you go and she stays. And I believe, and this is just me talking, but I believe that because that separation came so easily, I believe that's why men can just walk away like they do today. If they don't have a strong base, if they don't have a strong father and a strong mother, I don't think that they can, I think that that's why they can just sever relationships as easily as they do. And I know that that probably is probably the blame. I mean, I know somebody saying, oh, here we go, but I do believe that that has a definite impact on a lot of men. I really do. And I just think that, I don't know. We, you know what, I can say on and on. We're going to go to another station break, and then we'll come back.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I'm Rick, and I hope you got everything that you needed when you left. I hope that you went and got your water, your juice, your sandwiches, and all that good stuff. Robin and I are talking today about relationships. We're talking about choosing mates. Robin, again, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, does that sound very far-fetched? I mean, does that sound like a lot?
No, I think that you have to do that these days because you don't know what you're getting. I've made the mistakes of not doing enough homework, and I made a bad choice in a relationship, and later I found out that he was a sexual predator, and he was on a known sex offender. He was registered, but I didn't do enough homework to know anything about him. And then after the relationship was over, I found all these things about him, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see the signs, I didn't look, I didn't research, and now I feel that it's necessary.
Well, you know what? I'm just thinking, Robin, because your parents weren't armed with that type of information, but they had a wonderful relationship. I mean, what happened to emotions and feeling? Because that has got to play a part somewhere, because your parents didn't have, my parents didn't, you know, my grandparents, I mean, they were married until my grandfather died. I mean, I don't remember them talking about, you know, medical records and FBI background checks and credit. They didn't say any of that. They connected with this person, and I don't know, is it that we don't talk enough? I mean, because I know they didn't have that.
I think it's more or less what God joins together. If you're unequally yoked, sometimes we go out and we pick a man or we speak a man into existence without knowing the type of man that we really want. And the things that you speak into existence, it comes to pass. I think that my parents and your parents back in the day, they knew what they wanted. They got to know each other, and they learned, they struggled together. And nowadays, people don't want to struggle together. People don't want to. They don't care about knowing you. They want to. If you look good, if you got a nice figure, you cute, and that's all they look at. They don't get to know you inside and who you are.
Okay, but even when you are, just like even if when you are a good person, for whatever reason, we connect with somebody that's not a good person, or not somebody that's a good person. It seems like the nicer you are, the more evil you attract. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you are one of these gold digging type sisters that go out and it's like you got to have this, and this, then so you're gonna attract that, but you don't attract the knuckleheads, because the knuckleheads, they don't even want to come in your circle because, number one, you're high maintenance. But when you are down to earth and you like, hey, listen, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, you know what I'm saying? This is the goal that we want to achieve, and this is how the vehicle for us to get to that goal is the two of us together, working hard, putting our stuff together, and getting to that goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. I also think that the reason we attract the type of people we attract is because we don't have our standards in order. See, if you have high standards, you're not going to accept a man without a job. You're not going to accept a man with a prison record. But if you see yourself not worthy, then you're going to accept that man and think that you got something because it's better than being alone. At least that's how it was for me. I attract every felon known to man. It was like I was a felon magnet.
And even with that, we do also know, Robin, that a lot of that is the plan of the enemy to keep you from getting where you are today. A lot of that was thrown at you to take you off of the destiny.
I agree with that.
So we know that there are some other there's some other circumstances to that. We know that, because I'm listening to you and it sounds like your dad was a loving father and a good father. So you in that you're thinking that as a daughter, as a woman, that we would be focusing on that which we're familiar with, which is a good father.
Well, I search for that, but the thing is that men can sense your weaknesses. They can sense when you're insecure. They can sense when you have low self-esteem, and they prey on that. And I kept attracting those type of men because I didn't feel worthy of anything better. Even though I would love to have a man like my father, I didn't know how to get one.
Yeah, we get all the lessons. I think we get all the lessons. I remember now. My dad was a pattern maker. He was a different kind of person. He was very serious, and we did a lot of things together. My dad and I used to go to he would go to the barber shop and I would go to the hairdresser, and we would sit there and get our nails done. Even as a kid, this is what I used to do with my dad, not with my mother, but with my dad. With my mother, we would go to operas, we'd go to plays. She was, libraries, the museum, those kind of things. That's what I did with her. With him, I did those things. And he was the one that taught me at an early age, Rick, you shave the hair from under your arms, you do not, just different things. And when I think back on it, it's like, why, my mother didn't, she gave me what she could give me, and he gave me what he could give me. And I remember in looking for a mate, it was like, I don't want anyone like him, because he was abusive. He was even though they were together, he was very, very abusive and very violent. But when it came to me, he was, we did things together, and he was cool, but he was not the kind of man that I would want to marry. You know, not my dad. I mean, he was my dad, but he definitely wasn't a person that I wanted to marry. But so I'm listening to your story, and I'm thinking about my own story, and I'm thinking, you know, here it is, two different backgrounds, but at the same time, you know, still attracting the wrong kind of guys. So it's something within us, you know, whether we have a great father or we have a father as a jerk, but it's something within us that attracts us to that which is really not, you know, really not for us. It really should be, as a magnet, it should repel those things and not, you know, not bring them to you.
Well, you know, they say that the things that you speak into the universe, you attract. And so the more you say, oh, I'm not going to deal with this type of person, you keep getting those type of people because you keep speaking it into it. Instead of asking God to send you the type of person and give him a detailed description of what type of man you want, you just say, I want a man, that's what you're going to get. And you got to deal with that type, that man, whatever he comes with, his baggage and whatever.
Yeah.
Because you weren't selected. We didn't sit down and say, this is what I deserve, this is what I want, this is what I'm not going to settle for. We don't do enough of that. And that's why we give what we attract. Yeah.
Well, listen, we got to wrap it up. It has been a pleasure. We have had such a ball. I'm so excited, Robin. We will talk again, right?
Oh, definitely, girl. You gotta know it.
Thank you again, Robin. And she's girlfriend, but also she has a book called Mirror of Reality. Ah, gosh. Thank you for joining Rick the Critic. Good night, and see you soon.